Hey there everyone, just thought I'd make a quick video. Basically I was in Maidstone town centre earlier today and doing some megaphoning and free hugging, and basically got there about 12:30 in the afternoon, started doing some megaphoning and hugging with a friend of mine. She had a everything is okay sign, and everything was going brilliantly. I was actually pleasantly surprised at how receptive and open the people in Maidstone really are, and basically it's sort of it started going really well. There were people coming up to me saying, "Oh, I think you're great," and all that stuff, giving them hugs, all that, But then about an hour into it, I was approached by a police officer on a bike. And the following is a breakdown of the encounter itself, because basically I took a video of it, a very brief video, and the reason for it being brief I'll explain later on. But because there was a lot of things that I wanted to ask this guy, but no, it was intentionally brief on his part, I dare say, and but I'll go into that in a bit. But here follows the video itself, plus a little breakdown of my analysis of it. So here goes.
Okay, I'm PC 10025 Desmond Dalzell from Maidstone Police Station. I'm a town centre police officer, and I've been informed that you've been making comments on your bullhorn.
Okay, well, first off, he wanted to sound official by introducing himself, and I made a point of getting closer to his badge number, just in case. And he started off by basically laying out flat the doomed nature of his argument, to begin with, by saying that he had been informed about certain offences on my part. So already he was acting on second-hand information,
which would be annoying to people.
Okay, since when did being annoying constitute a breach of Section 4 or 5 of the Public Order Act 1986? Does it use the word annoying in that legislation? I think not.
Well, if not causing harassment, alarm, distress.
Oh, and now he qualifies it with, if it's not annoying, then it is causing harassment, alarm and distress to another person. That sounds very solid, doesn't it?
Could you take a step back, please, sir, as well?
For the purpose of your video, I haven't moved.
Well, for one thing, I'm feeling a bit intimidated by you standing quite close to me.
You stood there and I've stood there, and now you're making that on video. Let me finish and then I'll step away.
If you take a step back, I can still hear you, sir. This is a polite request.
Okay, I'm not moving. Okay. You've decided to stand there.
All right.
Well, from there.
I'll stand back a bit.
You move to that position, and without being any more argument.
Okay, it was at this point that I'd actually noticed how close he was standing to me, and I felt a little bit intimidated by how close he was. I mean, he was standing about 2 feet away from me, and at the time I felt that was an invasion of my personal space. So I asked him to, if he could kindly just step back a bit, since he had approached me. I had been standing in the same spot, so he had basically come right up to me. So I asked him, could you please step back a bit? So he refused to do that, so I was forced to actually stand back instead.
I'm just warning under the Public Order Act that if you carry on using language which causes anyone harassment, alarm and distress, you may be arrested or get a ticket. Okay,
well, it was at this point here that he felt that he was actually giving me an official warning. Probably the best he could actually manage, seeing as that he hadn't even gained any jurisdiction, which I wasn't about to grant him. Basically saying that if I cause a breach of Section 4 or 5, then I may be arrested or given a ticket. Now let's think about that for a minute. Arrested for what? For speaking freely in a public area, being completely respectful, acting completely lawfully? No, it's the fact that he may not like the things that I'm saying, and as a result he felt, oh yeah, I'm going to go over and try and intimidate him to shutting up because he's saying things that that go against the system. No, I'm sorry, that is not an arrestable offence. okay? We have freedom of speech in this country, and freedom of speech implies that while you may or may not like what I may be saying, you still uphold and maintain my right to be able to say it, okay? That's what's intended by free speech, okay? And another thing, he said that, that I may get a ticket. Well, sorry, but as per the Bill of Rights, 1689, Section 2, Clause 12, that states, and I quote, that all grants and promises of fines and forfeitures of particular persons before conviction are illegal and void. So, essentially, he was just trying to intimidate me here.
May I ask...
understand me?
Okay, here is one of their clinchers, ladies and gentlemen. He asked me, do you understand? Now, for those of you who actually know your stuff, then you'll know that in legalese, the word understand is synonymous with stand under. Essentially, him asking, do I understand, is him asking me, do I have authority over you? And I did not grant it.
No, I don't understand.
Making comments about cancer and what would it do to the economy, people
I do not
understand. You don't understand. Okay.
I comprehend what you're saying, however, I do not understand.
Okay, you'll notice that that he said me saying things about cancer in the economy. Right. Okay. Let's qualify this, and this is something that that can be corroborated by any CCTV footage that there would have been recorded in the area. The only things I said about cancer were that there's only one thing that exists in nature that behaves like our current system, cancer. And the only other thing I said were that, if I remember my words correctly, there are numerous cancer research charities in the world trying to raise money to find a cure for cancer. But I ask you a simple question. What would a cure for cancer do to the economy? Those are the only things I said about cancer. And really, if that is what causes a breach of Section 4 or 5 of the Public Order Act 1986, then every single mainstream media outlet needs to be sent to prison for putting the word cancer all over the place, on TV, on radio, right? I mean, I used to work delivering medications for people. Every single, paper bag with the medications in has the words questions about cancer, in big letters on it. So the idea that saying cancer in a public place is causing a breach of Section 4 or 5 of the Public Order Act 1986 is completely ridiculous. And, speaking about the economy, oh no, sorry, but we're all adults here. I think we can all think to ourselves, wait a minute, he's saying some true things about the economy. Oh no, I'm offended. Well, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but offence is taken. Offence is not given. Okay? I may be offended by any number of the advertising that is forced in my face day in, day out. I may be, offended by the ridiculous, vacuous, superficial nature of any of the marketing or displays that are in any shop front that I may walk past. But who do I complain to? Who gets locked up for my offence of the sheer waste of resources on this planet purely for economic perpetuation? Does anyone get locked up for causing offence in that sort of arena? No. It's always the people who are speaking out against the status quo that get accused of offending people. Well, I'm sorry, but, these sort of things that I'm saying need to be said. Okay, because it's obvious that the current system is not looking after the interests of the general public. It is continually circular and cyclical and based on infinite growth, and it is not sustainable. Someone needs to be saying this, and for that to be saying, to say that, and for that to be a breach of Section 4 or 5. And I'm sorry, we all need to grow up, okay?
Well, you'll understand if you carry on with the behaviour and somebody else complains, because then we'll take action towards it.
Wait a minute, did I hear that right? Did he just imply that by continuing to speak freely in a public area on a megaphone, that I would be, by association, consenting to the authority that he's claiming over me? Did I hear that right?
Well,
Okay.
sir, I make every care not to use any language which is inflammatory. I do not. I take
Well, I've
great
already
care,
told you've had one complaint.
sir.
Notice that you said, but we've had one complaint. From who? That's one thing that the cops never let you know about. Who made the complaint? Because for one thing, they may not have even received a complaint. How am I supposed to believe them? You know, if I go up to you and say, oh, someone, someone's complained about you, I could make it up just to see if I can gain authority over you. So I'm sorry to say that I don't trust a single word that he's saying, because he could just be making it up that they've received a complaint about me. Okay?
I take great care not to breach Section 4 or 5 or 6 of the Public Order Act 1986. I am a free human being. I am standing in a public area, and there is no law that states that I cannot do what I am doing right now.
I told you once, I won't tell you again, and then we can finish a little recording. If you cause any harassment, harm, distress, action will be taken. Your warning's been given. You understand me?
No, I don't understand.
Okay, right here is a brilliant example of how arrogant a lot of police officers become. I've basically stated my innocence. I've said what I'm doing. I've said that I'm acting completely lawfully, and it's just going in one ear and out the other. He's not listening to what I'm saying because I'm not allowing him to have authority. So he's belligerently trying again and again and again to gain jurisdiction over me, and not even listening to anything I'm saying. And that, I feel, that in my eyes, that's a miscarriage of justice, to actually not listen. Because for one thing, he's a public servant, right? And so thus, that means that he's sworn an oath to uphold the common law, because he's not just a PCSO, apparently, he's actually a police officer. So he's sworn an oath to uphold the common law and not delay right or justice to any human being living in this land, okay? So the idea that he's basically just like belligerently, like, you know, thinking to himself, oh no, forget anything that he's saying, I just want to have a go at him and you know, reprimand him for whatever he's doing. So basically by the end of that little spiel that he did, he tried yet again to get consent from me by saying, do you understand? And yet again, I refused to give him authority over me by saying, I do not understand.
Well, we'll take it up with the courts, because you've got your own recording.
We'll take it up with the courts. Oh, now he's just being over dramatic. Okay, take it up with the courts. This is a policy enforcement officer that's trying to gain jurisdiction over a free human being who's speaking freely in a public area on a megaphone, acting completely lawfully, and he's talking about things going to court. Okay, don't you think that's a little bit over the top? Don't you think?
I need you to acknowledge that I do not understand.
No, I'm not acknowledging you don't understand.
Well, sir, I'm afraid to say you do not have any authority.
Well, with that little example, it seems he may know a little bit about the meaning of the word understand, considering that he tried to use it twice on me. And basically, I was doing a little experiment to see whether he would actually acknowledge that I have actually said, I do not understand, and he refused to do that. And he refused to do it with a laugh as well, sort of thing. It's like, no, I'm not actually going to acknowledge that I have failed to get authority over you, sort of thing. And with that, he started to get his bike and leave. And I can't understand exactly what he said when he was just walking past me, but I made it clear that he had failed to get authority over me. So that's basically that. What do I think about that encounter? Well, as I said earlier, that is very brief police encounter, and probably the reason why is probably because, you know, he didn't want to enter into any debate or discussion about what I was doing because he just wanted to be able to wag his finger at me and say, "You've been a bad boy, don't do that again," sort of thing, and then walk off. Basically just, it's a typical intimidation tactic. Basically, say your piece, wag your finger, then leave. But he could tell that I was not submitting to his claim of authority over me, and essentially he hung around for about 10 more minutes. I carried on the megaphone, and in fact it actually gave me a bit more rigour because by this point, when one thing that I didn't know, because I was so engaged with talking to this police officer, one thing I hadn't noticed is that we'd drawn a bit of a crowd. I can't for the life of me think of how many people had actually stopped and watched. I mean, people were stopping and listening anyway, but there was a bit of a crowd, and I basically took that opportunity to basically say, "See, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you speak freely in a public area. You get harassed by policy enforcement officers." And I had a couple more people come up to me and say that I'm fighting the good fight, as it were, and basically doing a good thing. And but yeah, he basically hung around for about 10 odd minutes. There were a couple of other I think environmental enforcement officers. I can't remember exactly, but environmental something officers. I'd have to do some research about exactly who they are. But yeah, they were hanging around with the police. There was those, and basically they hung around for a little while, and basically they just went off. So I think it goes to show that what I was doing is completely lawful. I may be rocking the boat, as it were, but I'm not actually causing a breach of Section 4 or 5 of the Public Order Act 1986. I don't know why I said 4, 5, and 6. Oh well, but I guess I was probably just trying to be cocky. But no, essentially that goes to show that because that was the first time that I'd actually done any megaphoning in Maidstone town centre, even though I've lived in Maidstone for years in the past, but I'd never done any megaphoning there. That was the first day, and essentially that was altogether I did about 90 minutes or so there. But then again, it was probably an hour of megaphoning in total. But the rest of the time was like talking to people and giving hugs and stuff like that. But no, that police officer. Whatever your name may be, or whoever you may be as a human being, I forgive you for your attempted intimidation and harassment, because that's one thing that I find quite strange, is that the police officers may try and come up to me to accuse me of causing alarm, harassment and distress to other human beings, but they don't see their harassment of me to be illegal. That's one thing I find really strange. But no, I mean, as I said, Officer 10025, I believe your number is. I forgive you, and in fact, when I was walking back to the bus station, I actually saw him cycling the other way, and I actually held up my free hug sign and offered him a peace offering in the form of a hug, but he just completely blanked me. So. But no, that's an example, ladies and gentlemen, of the kind of behaviour that we should expect from the police. I mean, granted, a lot of them are wonderful human beings. I mean, one of the environmental enforcement officers, I think, I actually managed to give her a hug by the end, because I saw her. Because first time I saw her, I offered her a hug because she was checking out my sign. I offered her a hug and she was like, "No, I'm alright." But no, when I was walking back to the bus station, I actually offered her a hug and she submitted to one. And they've got little cameras on their breast pockets as well. I found that quite strange. But yeah, that's basically my feedback for that that chance encounter with the policy enforcement officers. So hope you enjoyed it, and hope this has inspired you to get out and learn you know, your rights, and learn the law for yourself, because that's the thing. The police, in this context of when they're intimidating people like me, they count on us as a collective being ignorant of the law. But the thing is, that, you know, there's this whole thing about, you know, the whole police state and all this legislation that's coming in, and you know, and people being indefinitely detained, and you know, I mean, I guess I haven't really done enough research into it personally, but even if that's the case, you know, one of the things I've heard about this indefinite detention thing is that you won't have access to a lawyer. But the thing is, if you know the law yourself, then you don't need one. Yeah, we all, like, the whole idea of lawyers being in existence is purely because of the fact that we are made ignorant of the law. We shouldn't have to need a lawyer to be able to have justice served. Okay? And that's one of the things that, you know, I'm hoping that everyone watching this will do. Like, read up on exactly what kind of, you know, laws actually do apply to you, because, you know, it may be hard to accept, but it's all a lie. We've been deceived our entire lives, and that's the point. We really need to educate ourselves to what we can actually do. So I'm probably going to be bringing you more videos of this nature from now on as I encounter the police more and more. So look forward to bringing you more videos, and I'll obviously break down and do an analysis of each one as it goes. So take care, guys. Namaste.